What's up everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl So, and I'm back with another video.
I love the way you pop your top and how you lose your cool and how you look at me.
If you haven't seen my med school announcement video, I'm gonna link it right here. But basically I got into med school. I've kind of been documenting my journey through undergrad and the MCAT, the application process. Not as like the main focus, but definitely I have a few videos that are all in a playlist that you can watch that are related to my journey and how I got here in the first place. But I wanted to give targeted advice towards the MCAT, just because I did take the MCAT twice, and my disappointment with my first score had very little to do with lack of knowledge or lack of practice, but how I was studying. And so these are 5 things that nobody tells you about the MCAT. I'm going to be brutally honest. I definitely did better on the MCAT the second time. My score went up by 7 points, which is kind of unheard of. I didn't feel like it was, you know, super like right to give advice until I had an acceptance letter. So now I feel comfortable giving you this, and I actually wrote this document out when I was taking the MCAT, or like around that same time. So like this is fresh from my MCAT brain, even though that was almost a year ago now. So yeah, I'm just gonna get right into it. Hopefully you guys will gain something from this video. I've said this before in any other of my med school videos. This is not a channel where I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna brag about everything that I've done and I'm gonna make it seem like it's so easy. I'm gonna be brutally honest, because honestly I had a really hard time through this journey, and I'm not really looking to lie about it. My first tip is be honest with yourself about your mental health. Like really, like we're all super high functioning pre-med students. We think, okay, no, I got this, and you've managed your mental health through all of undergrad or whatever you've been through, and you're like, okay, this is enough. But you don't understand that when you're preparing for this test, when you're taking this test, those things are going to be amplified. That's a mistake that I made in the beginning, because I definitely knew that when I was prepping for the exam I was dealing with stuff, and then when I was getting closer to the exam and I was asking myself like, okay, am I ready, I didn't even have enough space to like properly identify whether or not I was ready to take the exam, because I was so caught up in just trying to manage my mental health. So like definitely be honest with yourself, and if you're not there, it's worth it to postpone it. It's worth it to wait a couple another months. I know that we're all in a rush, but I'm telling you, it's not worth it. I wasted so much time and money because I was like, no, I'm gonna do it, when I knew from the beginning that my mental health was not where it needed to be. And so just take care of yourself, because it's really hard, and your emotions are gonna get everywhere. So just be honest, look out for yourself. All right, moving on. I said number 2. Number 2 is do not cut yourself out from the rest of the world. Go to lunch with your friends. Go to a party if you want to. I did this whole thing when I took it the first time, that it was like, I'm not going to any parties, I'm not going to do any of that, because I need to study whenever no, I shouldn't have done that, because you know what, I already live by myself. One, I lived away from my parents. I went to school in Ohio and my parents live in Wisconsin, so I was already very much isolated. And then on top of that, I wasn't letting myself engage in these social interactions because all my friends were pretty busy. So the only time that we really saw each other was when we were going out or doing stuff like that. And so by cutting myself off, I kind of eliminated the support that I was getting from my social circle. So definitely like be smart about it. You obviously need to be focused, but allow yourself moments of happiness and of like relaxation and of social interaction, because you need that. Be open to other people, because if you get caught up in this like cycle of like every day wake up, study, and it's just you and your brain, you're gonna drive yourself nuts, and that's not gonna help you get into med school. Moving on, ask for help. And I literally have it ... seriously, no, like for real, like actually for me it's extremely hard for me to ask for help, especially because half the time I don't even know what questions to ask. And honestly I had a lot of pride. I was like, you know what, I've done everything else, I'm first gen, I moved away from home, I'm doing well in school, I can do this by myself and I don't need to ask for help. You don't have to do it alone. Ask for help, it will help you. My second time around I reached out to somebody who through a research program that I did, and they pointed me in the direction of a student who did really well on her MCAT, so so she talked to me about her experience, her schedule. And then I had friends who are also pre-med but applied the cycle before me that just like being super blunt about, like, you got to put in the work, you know. Just having people to talk about the MCAT with you is super important, because if you're like me and you're first gen, or you're the first like person in your family that's going to be like working in the medical field, like, you don't have anybody around you that's going to be able to talk to you about these things. So definitely ask for help, even if it's just like somebody lending an ear to like your little frustrations. You have to remember that this is not a regular test. It's not a regular test. Ask for help. Just gonna be blunt. Number 4 is more technical, because it's definitely where I had my downfall the first time I took the MCAT. Spend time on content review, but spend a lot less time than you think that you need. And by content review, I mean passive review, so reading and watching videos and things like that, just because in reality, you're not going to be able to know everything that's going to show up on the exam. You have to be able to recognize certain patterns and certain things in the test that will indicate how you need to answer the question, but you don't need to know everything about the reproductive system in order to answer the question that is being given to you, right? And so I spent way too much time reading the chapters and weeks reading the chapters when I should have just been doing what I did the second time, which is I would read some content, I would watch some stuff that I needed to refresh, and then I would go and I'd do practice questions, and then I would do those practice questions over and over again, looking at the things that I got wrong, going back to the book, then looking it up, then doing the practice questions again until I knew what these things were. That's active review. And so I found literally such a big difference in that. Like, my practice test scores went up immediately when I started doing that in my prep the second time. So I'm the type of person, like, I can read something and it, for the most part, it does stick. Like, I'm a reader type, but in this scenario, it definitely was a downfall for me. So just be careful with that, because nobody really told me. They said, oh, don't worry too much about content review, but still do content review. Be wary about that. Be realistic. I don't think that you should be spending more than like 1/4 of your study period doing passive content review. All right, my tip number 5, try not to watch so many MCAT videos on YouTube. No, like, I know that's kind of like super ironic that I'm saying that, because I'm filming an MCAT video right now, but from my experience, I got so discouraged watching those videos, because you go to those videos for guidance and for help, because you're like not sure that you're doing this right and you're not seeing the results that you want. And instead of people being realistic and saying, you know, I did struggle with this, but this is, you know, the approach, they're talking about, oh, well, I just went about it like this and then I just did great, but then you're not seeing those results yourself and you're having such a hard time. And it's just very discouraging, because a lot of the times, a lot of the YouTubers that you're seeing, they're talking about all of their successes. They want to list how many med schools they got into, they want to list all their scores, and they want to show you their whole application, because they just want to show you all of their accolades and things, and that's not really helpful, you know what I mean? So just limit how much you're interacting with that type of content. I'm not saying that everybody's like that. I try not to be like that. I hope that I'm not like that, but it can be very discouraging. That also includes some pre-med Instagrams and things like that. They might not be trying to be malicious, but they're not always going to show you the real deal. I'm trying to show you that. I'm trying to tell you, like, this is what's going to happen. This is what you need to look out for. If you want to be a doctor, listen, I've been through this. Let me tell you my story. I struggled through this, and I'm not embarrassed to say that it was hard. You know what I mean? So just be careful what type of content you're interacting with, because your mindset, like your mental, like all of these things are very connected. Your mindset is very, very important and very fragile at this moment, because you're under so much stress. So just be nice to yourself. But yeah, I hope that was helpful. I definitely think that these are really valuable tips, especially because I wrote them when I was prepping and taking the MCAT, because I really felt like these are the things that I was missing, that I wish somebody would have told me, Sophia, look at it this way. Are you thinking about this? Because I would have saved a lot more time and a lot more stress in my prep and my journey. If you feel like this video would be helpful for somebody you know, another pre-med, make sure you send them this video. I would love to have more pre-meds on my channel. I know that I'm not exclusively a med school channel, but I'm definitely going to be documenting my journey and all of those things. So make sure you send over that video, you like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, I will see you guys soon.